All right, let's jump right into one of the biggest, most high-stakes questions you can face up here on the Highlands Cashiers Plateau. So you found it, the perfect mountain location, the one with that jaw-dropping view. But the house? Well, it just isn't right. So what's the move? And believe me, this isn't about picking out paint colors. We're talking about a multi-million-dollar strategic decision.
This question right here, this is the heart of the dilemma, isn't it? You're standing on this incredible piece of land, maybe with those views you've always dreamed of, but the house itself just feels like a compromise. So do you try to work with what's already there, or do you wipe the slate clean and start over? In a market as unique as Highlands, well, the answer is almost never simple.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the big picture, the mountain decision. Then we'll dig into why Highlands is just different. We'll look at the case for renovating and then the case for rebuilding. After that, we'll cover the local rules you absolutely have to play by. And finally, we'll get to the single most important choice you're going to make in this whole process.
Okay, first things first. You have to take the emotion out of this decision. Seriously. In a mountain market with some very, very specific constraints, the choice that seems obvious in, say, a flat suburban neighborhood could be a massive financial mistake up here. You gotta forget your gut feelings on this one. This is pure strategy.
So what is it that makes this area so different? Let's really get into the on-the-ground realities that completely change the math when you're thinking about building or renovating on the plateau. What you're seeing here is really a perfect storm of factors. You've got very few buildable lots left near town. A lot of the land that is available is on steep grades that demand some serious and expensive engineering. On top of that, the post-COVID demand for modern homes has squeezed this inventory even tighter. But the one factor that can stop a $1 million project dead in its tracks, it's the septic system.
And this right here illustrates the point perfectly. This isn't a friendly suggestion. It's a hard and fast rule. You are required to get soil evaluations done and protect 2 separate septic sites before a single shovel of dirt is moved. If you get the sequence wrong here, you can create massive, costly headaches. This is not a market where you can just wing it.
Okay, so with all that in mind, when does it actually make sense to renovate? Let's break down the conditions where working with the house that's already there is absolutely the smartest move you can make. It really just boils down to this simple 3-step checklist. First, you've got to assess the bones. Is the foundation solid? Is the structure sound? If so, you've got a huge head start. Second, location, location, location. If you're on one of those super rare walkable lots near downtown, that existing structure is an enormous asset. And finally, you got to ask yourself about time. How fast do you want the keys in your hand? A renovation will almost always get you moved in quicker. But, sometimes the existing house is more of a liability than an asset. So let's flip the coin and look at the case for a rebuild and see how starting fresh can build a whole different kind of value. A complete teardown becomes the smart play when you're facing problems like these. A layout that's just a maze of little rooms, or ceilings so low you feel like you're in a hobbit house. These are not simple fixes. And if the house itself is literally blocking the premium view the lot was bought for, or if your end goal is that perfect legacy home for the family, then starting from scratch is the only way to get the total control you need. So it all comes down to this one crucial trade-off. Renovation gets you in the door faster, sure, but you're also taking a gamble on what you might find behind the drywall. Old wiring, plumbing nightmares, water damage. A rebuild, on the other hand, gives you absolute control over the final product, but you are exposed to a much longer timeline and all the potential delays that come with it. It's really a battle of time versus control. This table really shows you where the money and the risk lie. For a renovation, your biggest financial wildcard is that contingency fund for all those hidden surprises. For a rebuild, it's the big upfront costs like site prep and architectural fees. And the outcomes? Well, they're fundamentally different. One is about improving what's already there, and the other is about bringing a completely custom vision to life from the ground up.
Now here's something important. Regardless of which path you choose, renovate or rebuild, you're not operating in a vacuum. There's a whole other layer of rules you have to play by. Rules set by the local communities and the town itself.
And this is the key player you need to know about, the Architectural Review Board, or ARB for short. A lot of the private clubs and gated communities have these committees, and really their job is to make sure any new builds or major renovations fit the overall vibe of the neighborhood, which, when you think about it, protects everyone's property values in the long run.
And believe me, their power is extensive. We're talking about regulating the specific siding you can use, the maximum height of your roofline, where your garage has to be placed,
and even telling you which specific trees you are forbidden from removing to open up a view. They're also the gatekeepers for short-term rental permits, which have gotten way more restricted lately. Ignoring these rules? Not an option.
So we've covered the land, the house, and the rules. But what's the single most important decision in this entire process? What's the one thing that truly determines whether your project becomes a dream come true or a total nightmare?
The answer might actually surprise you. After all this back and forth about renovating versus rebuilding, the biggest mistake you can possibly make isn't actually choosing the wrong path.
It's choosing the wrong person to walk that path with you. This is the absolute most crucial takeaway. The success of your entire investment, whether it's a renovation or a full-on rebuild, it all hinges on this one single choice.
And this quote from the source material just says it all, doesn't it? A bad builder can turn a simple renovation into a disaster, while a great builder can make a complex rebuild feel seamless. They're the ones managing the timelines, the costs, the subs, the local rules, everything. Who you hire is everything.
So let's bring it all home with a final, simple breakdown. Over on the left, you've got the case for renovation. If those bones are strong, the location is prime, and you really value getting in there sooner rather than later, renovating is a really powerful and strategic path. But if your situation looks more like the list on the right, where the lot is the real prize, and you need full customization to make it work, then a rebuild is probably the smarter long-term investment.
Ultimately, deciding whether to renovate or rebuild is a huge strategic decision, one that's totally unique to the Highlands market. But once you've made that choice, the most critical question is still waiting for you. It's not just about what you're going to do, it's about who you're going to trust to actually make it all happen.